All right. Welcome back. So this is what you're watching is a pre-recorded live stream. Okay, so it is pre-recorded, but please do me a favor, hit that like button, share and subscribe, and also make sure you're commenting in the chat. Oftentimes I'm in the chat, I'm hanging out with you in the chat. That's why we're watching it together. So please engage. When I do get busy, I'm gonna try to bring you at least 55 minutes of a live stream, just to continue what we're doing here. We have a lot of work to do when it comes to our relationships, right? And your mindset, your outlook, the way you interpret events of life is going to determine a lot of the ways you move in life. Okay, and for the most part, they have nothing to do with right or wrong. Okay, they just have a lot to do with the cards you've been dealt, and do you have the game to navigate properly. So no, I don't talk about right and wrongs here. I talk about your power. I talk about your self-awareness. I talk about your social intelligence. We talk about your emotional intelligence. We talk about seduction and attraction. Those are the kind of things we talk about here on my on Mind of Prestige. But this is all. I'm coming to you live from my Empire Pro studio. So let's get going. Let's hit the like button, all that good stuff. On this video, we're going to be reacting to this video from Today. Shout out to Today for this awesome content that we get to react to. Pete Edochie is having a take on so we've kind of covered a little bit scanty little we've covered some scanty pieces of the conversation, but we have another 10 minutes here that we can talk about. In this video, he talks about some other actresses that have left, quote unquote, left their marriages, and this seems a little bit triggering to a lot of people. Also, I'm going to see if we have time. Okay, I only got 55 minutes to do this for you. If you have time, we will get into we will talk about some of the social media comments and stuff like that, but let's just get going right away. Okay,
you talked about, by the side, young men wearing earrings that are meant for women. You also talked about the cultures, the dynamic between men and women. Yeah. You've been quoted as saying that in our culture, men lead, women, it's not the woman that leads.
no.
People were uncomfortable with that because this
now wait. Today is really starting very good. Men wearing earrings that belong to men, to women. That obviously would depend on what culture, what era, what tradition. All those things have beginning and ends, or they have interwoven beginning and ends with new era, new culture. It's evolving, right? So I'm not gonna ask this elder man. I'm not gonna. If I were you, I would manage my expectations around how you interpret what you're hearing from him. It's very important. Okay, your expectations. Again, remember we talk about relationships. We talk about marriage. Yeah, a little bit, right? Yeah, we do a lot, right? So your interpretation of what this man says is a reflection of how you handle your own personal relationships, not the way he's lived his life. I want you to get that straight. The way he's lived his life, the way he's moved, right? What he's going to say right now, it's not him that's going to influence you. It's at the end of the day, your power is in your own interpretation and your expectation of how you expect him to adjust to how you like things to be said. Okay, so as you can see, these are your four focus points for your friendship, sex, expectations, your pride and your ego. Oftentimes your pride and your ego will even disconnect you from everything I just said. Your expectations, it's your the only power you have at the end of the day is to manage your expectations. Okay, you don't have the power to control what this man says or how he says it or how it's still being revered as an elder in the community, right? on social media, you don't really have control of that. What you have, I know you would like me to judge him or say something where it's wrong or right. I already told you we don't do that here. Okay. The only thing I want to do is share some insights with you, and then you do whatever you want to do with it. It's completely up to you. Okay. So Tuesday is already starting on the right foot, like earrings that belongs, from what I know, the era I've spent most of my adult life in, earrings actually is used by both genders. Okay. But I'm also old enough, okay, to ask an elder, say, why is this man saying? So even if I don't know, even if I'm completely ignorant, right, I'm also old enough to ask an elder and say, why is this elder saying earring belongs to only men and women? So that's if I'm completely ignorant, right? And the truth is that most of us are not that ignorant. We just know it's coming from a different era. And again, manage your expectations around what you're about to hear. Let's continue.
Around women empowerment and feminism, and Okonjo-Iweala, the Minister of Finance, and Angela Merkel. What did you mean by that?
When you go to marry, your wife drops her father's name and assumes yours. You can't have two people as captains in a ship. Women convert houses into homes. If you don't have a woman in the house, your house can never be a home.
All right, ladies, did you catch that? Were you able to catch that? Are you going to be able to give him some credit for that? Or maybe you're like, why should the woman be the one to create the home? Why can't the man build the home? Well, here's the thing. If what you're doing is working for you, keep doing it. Okay? What you're doing, if it's working for you, all you have to do is keep doing it. We really don't have to argue about certain things. That's the simple rules. That's number one rule. Okay? Second rule for this context is don't tell other people what to do. Because some people, apparently, they still value family values, right? And then our results also says that we still value family values. The majority of there are data that supports this, even when it comes to children, right? Family values, but forget all of that, okay? From a social standpoint, social intelligence standpoint, if you want to do something different from what has worked, you better just know what you're doing. Just make sure you know what you're doing, because you're trying to swim against the trend, and there's a high likelihood you will drown. That's just the reality of life. Let's continue, okay? But the point you just made is that women build a home. I think that's a compliment. The intentions of that is slightly a compliment, but it's more so of a reality because of our social construct. Okay? But like I said, if you want to kick against that, you want to do something different, gentlemen, if you're looking for 50-50, just make sure you know what you're doing, because you will drown. It's not just the finances, it's not just the tangibles. There's a lot of things going on behind the scenes emotionally. Women will tell you one thing and do something else. You need to pay attention to their actions. Okay? Women will say, I don't like surprises, but they react differently when they are being surprised. They feel valued. They feel significant in your life when you bring some kind of surprise to the table. But she might be one of those that would tell you, no, I don't like surprises. Please don't surprise me. Let me know. Listen, if she says that, you should still pay attention to it. But I'm telling you, if you're taking that all the way to the bank, you might just be another man who lacks game in the streets. Okay, there are ways to read, and all that kind of stuff. Why is she like that? Because again, the imaginations of women. Shout out to Pastor K Kingsley. I was able to hang out with them yesterday, and he spent a lot of time talking about the imaginations of women right? Oftentimes, there's a disconnect between what they're saying and the reality of how they feel. That's true for all of us. That's true for all of us, but more so for women, particularly within a romantic context. Let's continue.
My wife just came in now. She's a lawyer now. I have lived with this woman for the past 53 years.
The wife is a lawyer.
Nobody has ever come in here to say, Pete, oh, please stop beating her, you will kill her. No. Why? I never saw my father beat my mother. So I cannot say I learned from my father how to beat my mother. No, I did not. I want to think about things that should help us progress, not influences that should drag us backwards. Why are men wearing earrings? What's the inspiration there? Why are men wearing earrings? What is the inspiration? Right? Most of these influences come from outside the country. They don't help us. In our culture, like I said, a man does not kneel down to offer a ring to a...
All right, so he said this in the past. A lot of people think of him as a misogynistic, blah, blah, blah. I 100% disagree with that. Okay? 100% I disagree with that. There's no justification to interpret this man like that. Outside of he said something, he's coming from a different era. Completely from a different era. Okay? Please hit the like button if you're getting value from this. I know you will. Okay, hit that like button. Okay? There's no justifying for you interpreting what he just said as that. You know, outside of it's coming from a different era. And if you can't see that it's coming from a different era, that you're going to become him later on, potentially hurting other people, okay? Because you're stuck in your ways. You're also thinking about things just from your own context, right? It said the wife just came in. The wife is a lawyer, never laid his hands on his wife because he never learned that from anywhere. That's tons of lessons in that, meaning children are learning more from the examples you lay more than anything else, meaning he's open to his wife going to work like another professional and coming in at, you know, right? So he said a lot of things there, but then he now said men are wearing earrings, don't take us backwards. Well, he's still a human being like the rest of us, okay? I find personally that there's only so many people that can speak within context. There's not that many people. Most people, I am too. I fall in that category too, slightly. But I'm able to say, no, I'm just saying that because that's the era I come from. Majority of people are not able to say, I'm saying that because of that's the era I come from. Majority of people will tell you, this is how it should be. And if it's not that way, it's the end. But then they will completely disconnect from the idea that they are operating with a different set of moral standards, right? And the fact that people are like that, I like it. That's what creates our experience. I don't want everyone to be like me. I just want people to be slightly aware, a little bit more aware than they used to be, right? Be aware that when you say something is right and wrong, there's a moral standard you're operating with, usually, okay? There's very, very minimal people that will say no because that will generate these results. A man wearing earrings is not going to create any crazy results that is not healthy for us. There's literally nothing wrong with it, right? The only issue around it is purely sentimental, cultural, tradition. We don't do that. We don't kneel down to give rings to our wife, okay? Well, when a person kneels down and give ring to their wife, to their girlfriend, to propose to them, to offer them a ring, it does not create anything negative, right? So, but my own is when Papa say that, I say, oh, Papa is just talking from his era. You leave it alone. But when you turn around, you start calling this man misogynistic, right? Because he's basically spelling out the reality of our social construct, still till now for majority of people. You have to self-reflect. Why am I talking like that? Why do I feel the way? That's part of emotional intelligence. Why do I feel the way I feel about what this man is saying? Because that's the best. That's the only thing outside of entertainment. You can entertain yourself calling him misogynist, right? Calling him misogynistic, right? But if you really want to learn something, you need to look at yourself. Why do I feel the way I feel about what this man is saying? Because what he's saying is not hurting anybody too. You might say, but indirectly it's hurting people. I get it. You can dig through that rabbit hole and start unpacking and looking for ways how he's hurt other people. You can do that, sure. But I'm letting you know right now that this man, he raised a whole family, 5 boys. And we're talking about him today because of Yul, his son, and Judy, right? But that's why we're talking about him, right? They made him go viral because the son decided to do polygamy the wrong way, right? But these people are just living their own life. Just like us, they too will reap the consequences of their own behavior. The only thing you should be getting out of it is like, why do I feel the way about what this guy is saying? What context is this guy coming from? Dig a little bit beyond the surface of rights and wrongs, right? He said a lot in that 1 minute, but let's keep going. Let's keep going.
The woman. And again, men and women are not equals. No, in the home, there has to be a leader. You see, women are free to express their opinions. If you come to our industry today, most of our girls who got married some 2-3 years ago have all left their husbands from beginning to the end. I was even shocked to hear that Chioma Chukwuka had also left their, Ireti Doyle, Tonto. You take a vow when you're going to get married, for better, for worse. Not for better for us, for better, for worse. You will always think it's greener on the other side. That's the mistake that we all make. Try to be certain.
All right, that's a lot there. That's a lot there, right? Okay, so I never say men and women are not equal. I say they're not the same. I always say that. Okay, they're not the same. Why do I say that? Well, I'm a little bit more aware. Okay, why am I more aware? I'm not smarter than this man, this elderly man here, Yul's father, Pete Edochie. I'm not smarter than him, right? I just happen to be, I live in a different era. Okay, and it's my responsibility as a man to take the meat and throw away the bone. Right? Even the bone is not exactly to be thrown away. You preserve it somewhere where you might need some wisdom from that at some point. We have to calm down. We have to calm down. I'm telling you, you have to calm down with this. This is just wrong thing. You have to calm down. You will hurt yourself in the process. Right? I'm not trying to interpret what he's saying for him. He meant what he said. But in that era where they're coming from, that's where it stopped. Men and women are not equal. Today we know better that saying that can be dangerous, right? A man can start feeling superior to his wife and then indirectly hurting himself, okay? Because in this era, women are fighting. They're like, listen, because some people have misinterpreted that the wrong direction. They think they're superior, and for that, they're willing to even hurt themselves in the process of proving that stupid point, right? But the main thing is that men or women are not the same. It's obvious. Okay? It's obvious. Not just physically, emotionally, the way we process emotions, it's not the same, right? Spiritually, women are much more engaged spiritually than men. It's just a reality, right? Now, that might sound like a compliment, right? But there's a reason why a man, no big deal, yeah, you're right. And there's a reason why a woman, when you say, well, we're more physically fit than a woman, will overreact to say, well, what a woman can do, a man can do better. See, the differences in how we react to these issues is another obvious evidence that we're different, right? We're not the same. Now, Papa, the way they will say their lingo is quite different. The lingo is different. Shout out Pastor K. He talked about love and how he wants to go to the king and to the king, to the king of England and discuss this word love, because it means so many different things depending on the context. You can't say I love my diamond ring the same way you love your wife. It just doesn't make sense on the subject. But that's why there's context. That's why I said listen to the context. Don't just take one word and run with it because you're looking to police what people are saying. Try to understand where they're coming from and then interpret it in your own way and then create your own rules. Don't use my rules because my rules may not work for you. But if you're not rubbing minds against the rest of the world, you're going to be socially lame. You're going to dwell on words and overreact to words. As men, you're going to be like, oh, happy wife, happy life. I would never do that stupid stuff. Yes, you're actually being stupid because there's context to why they say that. Right? That's why we're human beings. There's multi-dimensions to this stuff. And it will never be black or white. Ever, never. Right? But you should understand that men tend to see things as black or white. It's just an awareness. Doesn't mean you have to become them. You're just a little bit more aware. Half the battle won. He also talked about the left their husband thing. And a lot of people are overreacting on the internet to that. What do you mean they left their husband? Well, they left their husband. Not only that, data also says that, women are 80% of the time, at least in the Western world, initiate divorce. Granted, I always push against that when people use that as an excuse to act stupid. When men do that, I said, listen, why? What happened all of the 5 years before she initiated divorce? Well, she has the options now, and you are also busy taking our Father's words, men and women are not equal. You're over stretching that, knowing that we live in a different era, and then you're chopping breakfast. It is what it is, right? So there's context in all of these different things. He said left because that's just their lingo, okay? And actually, for a fact, these people left their husband. I think Ireti Doyle, I think she filed for divorce. Right? Doesn't mean there were no issues there, but I see how it was being interpreted. It was being interpreted as these women are destroying marriages and family. I haven't heard him say that yet. Why are you thinking ahead of him? Why are you saying what he didn't say ahead of him in your own mind? Why are you overreacting to people left their husband? Right? Hold on 1 second. All right. Sorry about that. Real life is happening. All right. So there's a lot of overreaction around the left husband thing. There's nothing he said that's too out of. This is just a language issue. And again, when you're listening to people talk, listen to their context. Where are they coming from? Is this an elderly man? Ola, but why are you excusing this man? Man, you know how to do. You go there, all right, okay? Just keep doing it. If it's working for you, keep doing it, okay? But I'm telling you right now, when you're listening to people from different parts of the world, not just different parts of generations, different parts of the world, different parts of tribes, different where they're coming from. Do they speak English fluently? Are they speaking English the way you speak it in America as compared to the UK? If you're not listening to context, you lack the ability to actively listen. Okay, you lack patience, you lack a lot of things you're going to need in your relationships. And again, like I said, it's about you more so than anybody else. Okay,
Satisfied with what you have within you. It goes a long way. I love women a great deal. Within you. Try to be satisfied with what you have within you.
that's a good word.
It goes a long way. I love women a great deal, and I respect them. If I see any young man beating up a woman, oh my God, I just think you don't qualify to be a man. Yeah.
Whew. Word.
Men, God has given women their tongues. What makes you a mature person is your ability to cope with what they tell you without resorting to violence. Yeah. With what they tell you. What makes you a mature person is your ability to cope with what they tell you.
With words.
Without resorting to violence. Yeah. Your wife will tell you the worst thing on earth, right? If you can react properly. There's something called equanimity, a song for her. If you can react patiently, it's some kind of studied reaction. The Frenchman calls it sang-froid, You can cope with what she does. At the end of the day, she will apologize to you. What we were doing then, I don't think it can work now.
Let's talk about that first of all. Let's talk about it really quickly. He talked about contentment. Being able to have enough in you, right? Obviously, we have influence. You learn from other people, all that kind of stuff. But when it comes from the inside, there's nothing better than that. It's like what I keep telling you, like confidence is the sexiest thing alive. Okay? Confidence is the sexiest thing alive. Now, yesterday, Pastor K said, a man who prays is the sexiest thing. I was like, okay, he's a pastor. I'll leave him there. But confidence is the sexiest thing alive, right? And I would argue that when a man prays and is leading his family and is able to keep his house together, that also demonstrates a lot of confidence and being sure of himself, being sure of his leadership skills and I would argue that, right? Right? And he also went on to say if a man is an abuser, he only talked about just beating. He said he's not a man. But today we've learned enough to know that a man who is not just physical abuser, emotionally, verbally, a man who is gotten to that level, who has reduced down to that level, is literally done that, reduced from being a man, right? He talked about your wife will say things. He did not say just non-submissive wife. He said wife will say things. Your ability to respond in patience is going to be needed, not just in this era, in every era, as long as we're in this same social construct. And you will be expected to react with patience as a man. He talked about that. Can we react to that part too? Those are timeless concepts, right? Those are timeless concepts, in my opinion. Okay, let's continue.
What we were doing then, I don't think it can work now. If your wife annoys you, you don't eat what she has cooked. If you do it 2 or 3 times, she will go and report you to either your father or your relation. He no longer eats my food. I don't know what you will do that. Then the families will come together. They are organic, right? But what I hear now is that
I've heard my mom say that before. I've never really experienced it. My mom said, well, my father won't eat the food once he's upset. I've heard that before. I never really experienced it, but it must be true. For me, it's not like I decide not to eat the food. I might, if I'm upset with my wife or something like that, that takes everything away. It stresses me. Okay, Pastor K talked about that a lot yesterday too. Men don't want to be stressed. They can't think about too many things, peace of mind, all this kind of stuff. It's real. Okay, but women want peace of mind too. Well, it's like women want respect too. It's not the same thing. Okay, we're not talking about the same thing. Again, this is the problem with English language. Don't get stuck on English language and dictionary meanings. You gotta be careful with that. Try to listen to the context I'm saying here. You are still able to function, right? When there's disagreements to a larger extent as a woman than a man. If a man sees that there's chaos in his family, a man, I'm not saying boys, he's not able to be, productivity will get shot in the face. Okay, but it will affect productivity in so many ways, and that's true for me. Okay, and some of the ways that shows up is also it's hard for me to eat. Okay, so in their era, he's saying like a man will not eat, and then you're gonna have to call the village and everybody to come and answer to it.
if you refuse to eat, the wife doesn't really give a damn. I don't know whether it is true, but that is what I heard. That the women even say, okay, you can go to hell and stay there if you like, If you like, don't eat.
On your 53rd wedding anniversary, the whole country celebrated. The daughter-in-law, May, with a beautiful message, praising you and praising your wife. Many of us want to know that you love her and that she's your dear daughter. What's the relationship with her?
Mary is not just a daughter-in-law.
All right, that's actually as modern as it gets when the father-in-law says that. Okay, and I know many of them. You guys saw my father here when he came here. I know many of them that will talk exactly like that. But it seems like the loudest, as usual, on the internet. That's why I brought my father here, and I will keep bringing people when I get a chance. It looks like the loudest of loudest situation is people that have had bad experience, and I'm sorry they've had those experiences. Okay, but that's not necessarily the majority. It just happens to be the loudest. Okay, there are a lot of elderly men that knows the benefits in edifying their daughter, not just daughter or son-in-laws, their in-laws, period. Okay, there's too many of them. Okay, they're just not on the internet, or the people on the receiving end or victim of these people are not, for obvious reasons, they are not on the internet making noise about, And what we find is this, is that even if we have one or two people who says, you know what, I have had good testimony, we have people actively try to shut them down. So like, sit down there. Maybe you are victim shaming yourself. That's just where we are right now. And he's gonna go more into talking so well now about this is one of the viral videos out there, talking so well about his daughter-in-law. Let's continue.
I don't want to say that I love Mary more than the other wives of my sons.
He just said it. He just literally said it. Okay? If you understand how the law of attraction works, if you understand how emotions work, he just said he loves Mary more than the other wives. It's not necessarily true. He's just expressing how much he adores. Right? And then what do we know about May or Mary? I guess they call her Mary as well. What do you know about Mary Edochie? May YUL-EDOCHIE. She's now going to she's going to be the ex-wife of YUL-EDOCHIE, because YUL-EDOCHIE decided to take on a second wife, right? But all of this happened because he's trying to flip a side chick into a second wife. He had a son with her, and then just came onto the internet and announced to the whole world that I've had a second son from my second wife. No, I've had a new son, 2 years old, from my second wife, and then since then everything has gone wrong with this guy's family. Lost his eldest son, 16 years old. In that process, he's doing skits. Less than 2 months after he lost his son, he's doing funny skits, and he's just acting very erratic, along with the second wife. The first wife, who is being praised by his father now. The first wife is, as said, she does not want to be a part of the polygamy nonsense, and she's filed for divorce. She's filed for, I think, some kind of restraining order. She's filed a lawsuit against him for adultery for 100 million naira, equivalent of a little over $100,000. So there's a lot going on with that family. So just wanted to bring you up to speed really quickly, just in case you're wondering what we're talking about. You don't need the backstory like that. I'm just assessing these words, okay, and I'm shooting out some potential lessons. Let's continue.
But the love I have for Mary is so strong. Why?
That's the first wife.
My father and I were very close.
Okay.
Yes, and when we went for the traditional marriage rites in their place, the kind of reception their people gave me, I will never forget. Mary is a girl I love to the marrow. By the way, she's a wonderful person. Mary is a very, very brilliant girl. You may not know that. Mary is a computer wizard, that lady you're looking at, right? And to a very large extent, the success of that home is to Mary's credit. Yeah.
How come everybody missed this?
But again, things like this happen, and it's so difficult to...
How come everybody missed that? I'm wondering, right? He's praising May. For those of you that are Mary's ride or die out there, he's praising May, and I believe everything is said about May. I believe it 100%. Okay. Let's see here. Yep, I believe May. I believe him. I believe everything he said about May. It just makes sense. But again, I tell people all the time, a young lady we were having a conversation on social media, and she was like, the people that know me are my siblings, my parents. They're the one that know me the best. I said, no, they don't know you like that. They know who you were as a child, as a young adult, until you become married. They don't know who you're about to become. They don't. Right? They don't. So in that same token, the only person that knows May inside of a marriage will be YUL-EDOCHIE. We don't know her like that. That's the reality. We don't know her like that. Okay? And that's how every marriage is worked. That marriage is going to provoke certain insecurities that will rise to the top, that your parents are not able to. It's just a different type of relationship altogether. Okay? The expectations in marriage are often unmanaged. The expectations with your parents are well managed, because you might even just collect for being stupid, right? Right? Expectations are quite different, So oftentimes with your siblings, you're using the same I know them. You manage your expectations. But with your husband, with your wife, what you often say is they're supposed to know better. Or you might even abuse their destiny or their ancestors for not training them well, right? Because you find yourself in conflict, right? And yes, people do run for the hills. People do exercise those options today, when if it was a different era, they didn't have those options, right? So they're kind of forced to look at themselves in the mirror, look at their spouse, look at their marriage, look at the shame, because he just mentioned the shame of like some women these days. If the man is not eating, say, well, to hell with him. Okay. It's not exactly to hell with him. It's just that, again, especially if you live in the Western world, there's food in the fridge, there's food in the freezer. Warm up the food for yourself. Every now and then when she wants to be special, she will take care, she will warm up the food for you. But the reality is that everybody's working, right? For him, in this case, he lives, I don't know if he lives in the eastern part of Nigeria or not, but he lives in Nigeria. Even though Mama was just coming in as a lawyer, they probably have enough housemates that would take care of him, make sure his food is warm, right? So, anyway, let's continue a little bit here.
Convince her that you are not part. Mary is a wonderful person. In fact, I just had my 76th birthday, and the message she put out was so endearing. Yeah. And Mary is a wonderful woman. A lot of people have been advising her wrongly. Trying to see if they can sunder the link between herself and her husband.
Baba.
Most of those women who are advising her that way don't have good homes. They don't.
Wow.
First of all,
Shots fired.
He's 41. Good. I really don't interfere in his affairs. No. Suddenly we heard he's picked up a second wife, right?
You didn't know before you picked it, right?
That is one thing you must know about me.
Right.
I don't lie. It's not necessary.
All right, so I'm not going to convince Baba that no one, you and I will never convince Baba that no one is putting a dagger between Yul and Mary. That it wasn't just Yul all by himself, or at least both of them by themselves. that allowed division between them. Okay, at most it's two of them. Okay, the truth is that if you and your partner cannot have a situation where there's no division between you, all bets are off. Okay, everybody's gonna come through those division and potentially try to help you, right? Everyone, including Baba, including what Baba just said right now, can potentially destroy a marriage further. Okay, that's the reality. I'm telling that to you, not to Baba. I can't convince Baba. It is what it is, right? But the truth is that it takes just the two of you. Okay, actually it takes at least one of you and at most to two of you to create the division between the two of you. If you're not wise enough to know this, then you deserve all the people that will come through those division. Yoruba people, again, I keep saying that Yoruba people say Talk Yoruba lanu alangba ole wobe, right? So this idea that people are advising her wrongly, people can advise people wrongly, but usually that only takes effect if there's already an existing division. Okay, if there's no existing division, there's all types of terrible advice on the internet. Imagine if all marriages are breaking up because of that, right? It only can potentially break up when there's already division and they go on Google and start Googling and searching for answers, and then they start getting advices. And what is a good advice? What is a bad advice? To me, a bad advice is an advice that's given to people that you don't understand their story. Okay, a good advice is a good advice. It's a good advice because the advice came from a place of understanding case by case story. This, like, no generalization, no oversimplification, right? So I disagree with that. But again, I'm not trying to convince Baba here. It's not even a disagreement because, again, it's an elderly man. Again, like I said earlier, he's coming from a certain context, right? It's looking at all of the world. It's looking at social media. It's looking at media. Say people are advising people wrongly. I said, listen, you cannot blame the rain and sunshine. No, you can't. You're just going to have to learn how to navigate. That's all you can do. That's your power. That's all you can control. How you react, how you navigate, how you open yourself, like become open-minded, so you can learn about the progression of what direction humanity is going. You're not going to take it back. No one is taking anything back. It's just going in that direction, like it's always done, and it will continue to go in that direction. And it's your job, a man or a woman, especially as a man, to learn how to navigate that. If you don't, then somebody else will help you lead your life, right? So all those people that are quote unquote giving bad advices, they're supposed to, because they're also reflecting, they're reflecting their own, they're projecting on you their own personal issues. They will continue to do that.
There is one thing you must know about me. I don't lie. It's not necessary. God created me so well. If I tell you this thing is black, it is black. You know, it's like when he wanted to run for governor or something. When I saw his photograph, I thought it was a production they were doing. There was somebody who phoned me and said, you know something, YUL is running for governor. And I said, it must be crazy. How?
How?
I never heard it.
Even Baba gonna say how.
And I have 5 sons. I don't interfere with them.
And this is typical.
They say that so thing is happening, good. If they don't tell me, I don't bother. If they tell me, beautiful. We just heard it, and that's it. You know.
So you suddenly heard that you're taking a certain road. So you were saying you suddenly heard that.
Yeah, we did. You know, there is something we always say in Igbo. Onye kpata nkwu arụrụ.
All right, wait. So I'm amazed at how many people keep saying he should have said something better before. He should have done so much more before. He should have said something before now. I'm amazed at how many people are saying that. I'm like, what? It's a 40-plus-year-old man. His father don't get to tell him what to do. Are you kidding me? What are you talking about? I can't tell you he should have. Oh, now it's a little too late. No, he does. He's been interviewed. He doesn't have to say jack ish about his son's relationship or marriage. He doesn't have to say anything. Like, wow. It's the confusion for me. People are very confused. People are very, very confused. Okay. He never had to say anything. He said some things. He might have said some things that today, in this era, might be considered misogynistic, I guess. That's another word I'm looking for. But, you know, archaic, coming from a patriarchy. But it's an elderly man. What do you want from an elderly man? Like, what do you want? Jesus Christ. Right? Anyway, the other thing is that, you know, he was saying that there was such an endearing things that May said when she celebrated his birthday. I think it was talking about May, you know. And I think Judy actually tried to celebrate his birthday too. But I'm looking at Gislova here. It says Judy removes her birthday post honoring Pete Edochie after this is the second wife. This is petty. This is called pettiness. So Judy removed. This is Judy right here. Okay, Judy removes her birthday post honoring Pete Edochie after the legendary Nollywood veteran publicly showered encomium on YUL's first wife May. And then Rita Edochie, who is another wife in the family, says the JA movement just started. Wahala. Anyway, I thought that was interesting. But yeah, like, are you paying attention? Right? This man said a lot of things that there's a lot of meat on what he said. You can take the bone and put it to the side. There's a lot of meat. There's a lot of you that you're obsessed with the possible future, but you're disengaging from what you can learn from the past, right? And then you're hurting your present doing that. Let me repeat that. Many of you are obsessed about what it could be in the future. You're disengaging from the past, okay? There are lessons there's nothing in life, including the corporate world, all the big projects, the big bridges projects, the big software projects in the world. Every single one of them have a section for lessons learned. I'll go figure. You know why? Right? Because that's assets. It's assets. Right? This type of people that are calm enough to have a conversation with young people, they're assets. Pay attention. Right? Somebody coming from the past, it's not possible that they are 100% assets. It's your responsibility to pick through that and see what you can learn from it. Because I guarantee you, if you have a tendency to just disengage from how things used to be 100%, you're missing out on what you could do with your present and potential in the future. The future is the future. You're not going to rush yourself into it. You're going to still experience the present. You need to pay attention to how you navigate this moment and how you move into the future, because you don't really have a choice, right? That's when I talk about patience. Like, you have patience. Like, patience means about you don't have a choice. Time is not your mate. And if you know how to use time in your favor, there's so much more that the world has to offer. So much more. Let's continue.
In other words, if you go and pick up ants-infested faggots.
Thank you for everybody that corrected me on this when I said it was maggots. It wasn't. Thank you so much. That was good. I had no idea. So apparently, faggots, the actual word, not the one that they use for as a slur. The actual word, it means woods, infested wood, right? Hand infested wood. That's what it means. I'm still trying to dig in through there. I'm not sure what that is. You know, probably people that are more traditional will understand it more, but it's actually wood, infested wood, right?
The direct invitation to the lizards to come to roost, right?
It's a direct invitation to the lizard. I would, just for short time right now, interpret as if you don't have division in your family, the lizard cannot enter. If you don't have sugar sprinkled all over your desk, ants are not going to come to it. If you have that, it's direct invitation. There's not you can't say, hey, but you know there's boundaries. You're not supposed to. No, nonsense. If you put your hands into certain jars, there's or whatever. If you move a certain way, there's consequences. This is what it is. It's real life, and I think he's talking to his son, and basically the lizards are all the Judy generated insults that the family has been receiving since then, that he has been receiving too. Even in this video, all the insults. If you insulted this man, like I commented on Instagram, if you are sitting in a place you're directly remotely insulting this man, you too, you collect.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's coming, okay? Just wait for it, okay? It's not, you won't remember Pete Edochie and YUL-EDOCHIE when it happens, but this is how you interpret life, okay? It's all about you, right? This is just how you interpret life.
Let the poor breathe.
Let's continue.
So, here I am, and that's all.
You mentioned driving your car under a tank.
Yeah, I did.
What happens then?
I'll tell you the truth. Perhaps I had too much to drink, and if you're driving at night after it rains, you'll see a pool of water. I think it is dry land. And, on the 14th day of March, 1977.
All right, you could go watch that. Shout out to Today's platform for this content. Awesome. Let me just round up with this, okay? Like I said, throughout this week, I'm probably going to drop 55 minutes worth of content, lessons, reactions that I think you will really find some value in. I have a session coming on red flags. I know you're excited about that, right? Do you want to learn the red flag? There's one single red flag that I want to talk to you about. There's one single red flag. So I want you to look out for that. But on this lesson here today, there's quite a few things that we discussed. I just think ultimately context matters. Don't be so quick to respond. All right, listen to understand. Okay, don't listen to respond. Listen to understand. There's a good chance you might not need to respond at all. There's a possibility you won't need. Why? Because you've actually gained all the value you need from understanding, and all the value you're going to need in life is from understanding. Did you know that? Majority of the value you're going to need in life is from understanding. It's not from responding. In fact, you're giving a lot away in responding, in reacting. Your reactions are they're basically, your reactions are actions you're responsible for, and there are consequences for them as well. And you won't be able to run with my reactions is because you did it that made me do it. In real life, especially you gentlemen, that you're not gonna, women can get away with that a lot, maybe in a romantic relationship with somebody that still cares about them. They can get away with saying he made me do it. And if it's a man, he understands that there's a lot more going on there, right? But for all of us in general, right, I just want you to keep that at the back of your mind, that there's more value in understanding for you than in reacting, than in responding. So when you're listening, this is all about active listening. When you active listen, you hear something that triggers you, you're not abnormal for being triggered, but ask why. Why do I feel that way about what this man just said? Don't just stop at this is misogynistic. Ask, why do I feel that way? After that, ask yourself, where is he coming from? What is his context? What era did he come from? What world did he come from? What language is he speaking? Just because both of you are speaking English language does not mean both of you are speaking the same English language, right? It doesn't mean this. It doesn't mean that. That's obvious, right? There's more to it, right? When you spend all that time understanding why do you react the way, why do you feel the way you feel about what was said, and you spend the next 5 minutes thinking like, where is he coming from, right? And then you spend the next 5 minutes thinking about the social world we live in with respect to the difference in all of these different contexts. What are my moral standards? When you spend all this time, there's a good chance that you've gotten more than enough value. There's a good chance that you won't need to react. There's a good chance that you'll put a smile on your own face for understanding human beings a little bit more. And then you've gained a weapon. You've gained the weapon to influence family, friends, and win big time in this era, in any era. And then not only that, it's bigger than that. It's bigger than yourself. You're able to be an example for your kids, for your younger ones, for people coming after you, and they can come to you and say, I don't understand something. Somebody triggered me. They triggered you. Why? How? Where? What happened? You're open to asking more questions as opposed to making conclusive statements and declaration on other human beings without understanding. You need understanding much more. I know it's boring. It might seem boring, but not for you if you're a prestige family. If you're a prestige family member, you know that this is what we're here to do. We're not here to point fingers, okay? We're here to understand, right? And to understand, to learn, to relearn, to understand, to continue to unpack, because there's no end to it. But the whole process, the journey, is much more valuable than some random destination that some pastor or some woli or babalawo told you somewhere. There is no destination, okay? This is it right here, okay? This is the experience. And the more you're able to engage in this way, the more beneficial it's going to be for you long term, okay? Not just long term, all of the above, because remember, it's happening right now in this process. And then you will create better results for yourself, better experiences for yourself and everyone around you. Everyone will want to be around you if they're having good experiences. If they're having good experiences, they want to be around you. If you like this video, you will like this video, okay? Hit on this video right now, okay? All right, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I will see